Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. We're going to be walking through a GTM or Clay workflow that I use for a lot of my clients right now, where we get access to people's information that we wouldn't usually have in a lot of the different databases. It uses a mixture of a permutation like email guessing sequence and also AI to scrape your sites. I found this out because I've been running cold email campaigns and workflows and building out Clay tables for the last 2 or so years. And it's just all of my information condensed down, and it's going to be a full walkthrough of how to build the exact step-by-step table that, again, we are currently using for everybody. I send around 2 million emails a month, and again, this is a small part of everything that we do at MTOS. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Cool. So we're looking at the Clay table right now, and as you can see, this is just some base Clay table data. I'm pretty sure I got this literally from the Clay database, and what I'm going to show you is the setup that we've been using, where we actually guess the person's name and we try and get their email from that. And we have data on the most effective or the most efficient name permutations, which I'm going to show now. Let's see here. So it might lag slightly, but as you can see, we have the person's first and last name. And then as we push through the process, we actually generate like their name in the entire in the formula. So if I come over here, if I go into edit, so what you're going to see is a lot of this formula jargon, but essentially at its core, it's guessing the name of the person that we're looking to target. So this person's name is, let's say, Ariel Berlinski. And what we're looking to do is we're looking to build this out in such a way where we get it in a comma separated value, in separated by the comma, and then we can extract the email. And see, this is the first name and then the domain, the first name dot last name, and then the domain, etc., etc. And then we go through this entire process, and every time we find an email, we can output it at the end. And we're using Lead Magic for this process. With this, we have master MX provider, master email, and then master contact. Of course, anything after that you want to do. So this specific client was a business type. They wanted to check if they were B2B, B2C, or an agency. Additionally, they wanted to clean up the client's name and then the top client brand that they've worked with. So it's just a simple part of the process, and it gives us access to information that isn't in or usually isn't in any other databases. That's the entire idea behind this. Because everybody has used the classic Apollo. Honestly, I can honestly just think of Apollo. Like, I personally have the entire Apollo database leaked from a couple of years back. There's data labs, there's like 400 million, and it's just all of this. It's this whole process that people go through, but it usually ends up not working because everybody has the same information. And if you have the same data, everybody's contacting the same person. This just doesn't help because you have the same offer. And unless you have a seriously differentiated offer, it doesn't really convert as well. So it's easier to get better leads instead of getting a better offer. So that's the entire premise behind this. And again, we're going to be building this out like step by step. What I wanted to get into first beforehand though, this is some of the stats or the data that we've been operating with within, I guess, Clay. And we wanted to identify some of the best numbers. So this is 37,000 rows of data. We ran 10 different naming permutations. I used AI because I was going to do some like cool copy and pasting stuff into the Google Sheets to let you know. And I was like, this is taking way too long. You guys are amazing, but I'm not doing this. So it was initial first name and company domain. This is the highest ROI one. And so, okay, so for an example, like for example, my name is Liam Yak, and when you want to guess a person's name, my email is liam@mtos.com, and that's it. Like, I don't have another email. It's liam@mtos.com. If you're gonna email me, do it well, please. And in the other parts of the process, we have initial first name, initial last name, and there's a dot in between or a period. This gives us the second formation. Next is initial first name, initial last name without any, I guess, barriers. There's nothing. So it's just first name, last name. So Liam Yek. And then the 0 here means the first letter of the first name. So this is taking advantage of kind of a code setup. It's basically pulling the first character from the first name. And if you want to get to the point here, right, as I'm trying to do, there's only really 4 permutations that make sense in this entire process. If you go past this, you start burning money in a way that doesn't really matter. So I have the exact stats. So we have 37,000 runs of the first one because I, in my head, ran the hypothesis that it makes sense. Liam at mtos.com will always be the most used domain or email extension because people are lazy. Not specifically calling you out, but I know I'm lazy, and that's what I did, right? So out of the 26 or so thousand, or sorry, 37,000, we found 8,788. We have to take into account that we did verify catch-alls at the end. So whatever 8,788 minus 135 is. So yeah, take with that what you will. It's a very small amount of leads that are catch-all. Let me see. Oh wait, no, sorry, no, it's 1,889. Numbers are slightly tweaked here. So take with that what you will, but generally the number stands because the catch-all will be subtracted from all of them. So out of the 37,000, we found 23.32%. This is the highest hit rate you could possibly ask for. So just if you think about the numbers, if you pay for, let's say, Lead Magic Find Email Verification, which I have done, or you do, let's say, TriKit is also quite good, Find Email, Prospeo, for extremely high value TAMs where you have a small amount of people and you want to contact, like you want to find the contact information for all of them. This is 100% recommended without a shadow of a doubt. But as you start to dive into the mass scaling, and let's say you want to send 200,000 emails a month, you want to send 500,000 emails a month, you need to, first of all, expand your TAM. Additionally, on top of that, with a TAM expansion, you need to find more emails, more businesses, everything like that. So this is what this is. And you need to optimize for cost. So this is what I'm basically optimizing for. So the next one we tried was, let's say, liam.yek at mtos.com. We found 18.59%, which is a pretty good hit rate because the way we've structured this isn't the amount of emails found out of the 37,000, it's out of the amount of runs we had. So we get a very accurate number. So next is 18.59%, then it's 13.31, then it's 12.45. And that's about it. So that means for these last or these 4 here, so the formation is first name and company domain. Second one is first name dot last name and company domain. Third one is first name last name with no gap in between, and then company domain. And it's first name, the first letter of the first name, and then the last name at the company domain. And this is like, the numbers don't lie. This is the exact numbers that we're currently operating with. So the numbers do not lie at all. And afterwards, we're then finding less than 1% of the enrichments. So you can do this, but you're running 20,000 rows. And if you're paying for any of these plans, 20,000 verifications probably costs like 10, 20 bucks. Again, unless you have an extremely high value TAM, I would not do this. It's just not, physically is not worth the muscle because it's it's just so expensive for that. So that's exactly this process, and this is the premise of what we're going to be building some of the permutation on. So this is generally why we're kind of going through this, because this is the permutation premise, right? Afterwards, we then have, this is a bounce ban or catch-all setup. We can integrate this in this video. We might skip past it. We'll have to see. It depends on how we're kind of feeling time-wise, because this is going to be a longer breakdown or clay table build out. So yes, so we're going to keep this here just so you guys have an idea. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new workbook. And right, so the one of the parts of the process that I have, I guess, avoided, not mentioned, is finding the people using AI. So if I come into here, we have 2 options. We have find people and we have find companies. Both of these do the same thing. So or sorry, they don't do the same thing. One finds people, one finds companies. But I'm going to show you how to, like with the find people inside of Clay, they have a massive database, but the biggest issue that I had was trying to find their emails. And one of the biggest questions I usually had was, how did you find all of this, like the emails, and how did you do this? So we're going to walk through that. And I'm going to find companies because with the find companies option, this is going to give me leverage, or allow me to find the people at the companies using AI. And I'll show you how it works and how we're getting data that other people just aren't privy to at this point in time. So industries to include. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do advertising. And then what we're going to do is we'll do 11 to 50. We need some people to find, and we'll do 51 to 200. And then let's have a looky here. We're going to do US specifically as well. United States. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to cap this at 200 because this is going to murder my laptop if I import to existing table. Nope, import to new table. Yeah, so this is going to murder my laptop if if I put too much data in or information in, so we're just not going to do that. And then we continue for free. So there's all this stuff here trying to highlight, or basically Clay is getting you to buy their stuff, but we can not do that by using some of our tactics. We're going to begin. Okay, so we're looking at this here. We have all of the general information. How do we actually go from this to decision making process of finding the decision makers? So the first step that I always do is we look for the domain if the domain does not exist. So we have a template here. What I'll do actually, what I'll do is I'll do this by hand or whatever. By hand, not actually by hand, but I'll show you basically the entire end-to-end process. So AI. Oh, and actually what we'll do is agent. And we're going to bring up agent here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the meta prompter that's built into agent. I'm going to see if this works with the. Oh, this is working. What a wonderful piece of work. Nice. So that thing I've just clicked on lets me speak into the mic, and as you can see, it's going to pop up on the screen. Ooh. I'm going to provide you with a person's LinkedIn and also the name of a company. What I'm looking to find is the website of the company and nothing else. So if you have the business name, you can look it up. You'll also get their address as well. So that could help in the decision or the finding of the website process. Once you have found it, I want you to only output that and nothing else. If you cannot find it, output none. Right, I'm going to turn this off. Cool. So as you can see, we are now looking for the website. The reason we're doing this is, well, we need the website as the base or premise of everything that we kind of do, right? So give it just 2 seconds. Hopefully, while we're waiting here, it doesn't take too long. I'm also going to walk through. Okay, so accept prompt. Let me see. So the name we only really need is the name here. So we shut off the other two. In case we're going to use 4.0 mini. Okay, name fine. We're going to say that's okay if these don't exist. We just need the name. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we can use the only run if AI. So if you haven't really used like Clay or kind of like code or anything like this, you can use the meta prompter. So it'll say something like only run if slash website is empty. And this is the exact formula that I would be using. And what it will do is it will only run if this is empty. Is website the right one? Slash domain. Wrong one. Website is already empty from what I can gather. So you see, it'll say output yes, output no. It very much depends on what you're kind of looking to set up here. So output is correct. What I would look to learn is conditional operators inside of Clay, or just conditional operators full stop. And you'll see me use them throughout this process where an exclamation mark is if it doesn't exist. Two exclamation marks is if it does exist. If you have an and operator, which is this and this, or if you have the straight line down, that's an or. So I will be doing this, but let's just run the first 10 for now. And you'll see Clay is starting to work, and we're going to start going through the process. We're going to start creating some of the rows. And what we're going to do is, okay, so none. So you can't find it, none. Let's see, wow. Clay agent, okay. So we're not finding any of these. What is it saying? Question, okay, let's run a couple more rows. So my assumption here is Clay, as it's going through this, it's already gone to try and find most of the websites. So like Giant Spoon, will it be able to find Giant Spoon? And there's a few other things. Okay, so most of them already have websites. Here is a good example. Bad example. Business.linkedin. Okay. moburst.com. Cool. So the idea is to get some of them, if any of them are lacking. Again, most of the databases will have the domains. This isn't a great example, but you'll have some databases where you pull it and you're like, shit. You're sitting there and a lot of the data just isn't, like a lot of the website data isn't there. So what we then do next is we run a merge column and we just merge these two columns together. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Okay. Company domain for some reason is called domain, which is a funny thing to have. And this is going to spit out a brand new domain. I'm going to put this at the beginning here. And yeah, it's going to put everything into an initial domain setup. And the final thing we're going to do is we're going to validate a URL. There is a process here where you check if URL is valid. I always seem to get this one wrong. The reason we're doing this is it's an automatic filter for if this says none or if it's empty, because this will only run if new column, okay, and invalid, here we are, and here we are, okay. So what you'll notice is the none, like it'll automatically kind of filter this out. So yeah, it'll filter out the domains that aren't valid or aren't currently operational. And this is a really, really important part of the process, because if a company's website isn't even working, then there's no point in, well, there's just no point, you know? So it's just one of the processes. And as you can see, this is invalid because it's none. There's not actually a website there to check. And as we go through here, so you can go through here and you can see why some of these are invalid. So status code 503. So if I just give this, it's a nice part of the process because here we are, 503. This doesn't actually have an invalid option. So econ rest. One of the main ones I've noticed is, so if you have a 404, yeah, so 404 is guaranteed not working. So if I was to open this up, some of the other ones, let me see. Yeah, so site not configured 404. This is a person you never want to contact. A few of the other ones, even though they have an invalid section to it, some of them are actually still valid. Let me see. I think 500. I was testing this out with someone earlier. Let me see, 500. So this is always, okay, error establishing a database connection. So 500 is when you don't want to contact, right? Some of them are kind of inaccurate, but again, this is a good kind of filter for this to see if a domain is valid. And the whole concept or the whole idea behind this is at scale, if you're sending 200,000 emails a month, if you're sending 500,000 emails a month, which is a lot of what we look to do at MTOS, it allows us first of all, it saves on cost because you're not contacting all these people. You're just contacting a small, no, you're removing around 5% of the batch size where you would have spent money on them to try find their emails. That's the initial thing here. Additionally, you're reducing hallucination because AI, when it goes through the process of trying to look for the website, going to the company, I've noticed it will just completely find someone in a same name, completely different website, and they're just like, yeah, this completely worked. I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. So there's that as well. And just one more thing on top of this while we're here, you can. So if you, and this is something we do sometimes, if we don't have like, if we really, really don't have lots of data, Clearbit. So Clearbit has a free find company extension, like website. So here it is, find domain from company name. Absolutely free. If I just do this, we go name. So if we pull from a database that genuinely has no information, like I'm talking, they are bare bones and there's nothing there. This is something we would use initially. The issue is it's not as accurate. It'll give you domains that just don't exist. Or sorry, scratch that. It's not that it doesn't exist. It doesn't completely identify it because all it's doing is a database match. It's not actually using AI to go search the site. So you're probably running around a 30% like error margin where it's like some of the information would be inaccurate. But again, if you're running scale, massive scale, then this is probably your go-to. And then what we're going to do here is, so now we have domains for everybody. We now have a valid kind of setup here. We now know if a domain is valid or not. Now the next step is to identify if they have people that we can find from their site or that people that work for them. And there's two ways of going about this, right? There's two right now. So the first one, let me go into my template setup. Find people at company with domain. Here we are. So this was me using Gemini. Gemini has gotten slightly slower, and I tried to apply for their API rate limit increase to 10,000 a minute. They just didn't want to give it to me, I guess, and they never got it. So it is what it is. I'm just gonna rename this master domain. So another quick tip when you're doing stuff like this with the master domain setup, it's super cool to like set it as master and then you can rename it. Because if you have ever built super complex tables, I have done it. I've had 3 tables, shit is flying back and forth like it's nobody's business, and you get extremely confused at everything that is going on. So try not to end up like that. Have master columns go through. Try to have some decent conditional logic that's like one thing to the next, and don't have it bounce around too much. If it gets complicated, look, it gets complicated. It is what it is. So this is a template that we're currently running. Uh, we just used AI. It's just like hashtag context. You are tasked with extracting specific personal information from a company's website and related pages. Identify and extract the names of individuals in charge of all decision-making processes in the company. We're looking for anyone that is head, VP, and owner, head VP, C-suite, and owner / CEO. From the website of master domain, visit the website associated with master website. I do this because I do this because you sometimes want to target specific departments. Like let's say it's ops only or finance only. You can adjust the prompt here. And what we can do is we can do this. So with this in mind, the greatest thing about this is you are now getting access to information that other people will not usually have. And then what you do is you ask it to output it in an array format, which is formatted as first name, last name, and then with a dash or not a dash. Fuck, that's not not a dash, a line down the middle, and then physician afterwards, right? And you'll know the reason behind this, because when ChatGPT outputs it, you want the easiest way of processing this data, like as humanly possible. I've done some really stupid stuff to try and get this data to work. Just this is the easiest. I promise you, this is the easiest way of doing it, right? And we will only run this if the valid is equal to true. So slash valid equal true. And we'll just run for the first 10 for now and see if anything comes up. And yeah, let's hope this works. It should work though. Here we are. Yeah. So look, it will avoid any of the ones that aren't ticked. And if I was to tick these, it would run them. And here we are. This is exactly the sort of information we're looking for. So only one individual was identified as the founder and CEO from the website, and we have Shelly Zalis, founder and CEO. This costs, it's 1 cent, a tenth of a cent. It's 1/20th of a cent to find that information. Then this one, we got 7 people. Whoa, this is good. Okay, so we got 7 people this time. So these are all CEOs, VPs, and this cost 2/10 of a cent. But that's completely worth it for the information we're getting. This costs 2/10 of a cent as well. We got the entire founding team. They're all co-founders and founders and CTO, COO. So again, this is the sort of information that we're looking to find when running a search like this. And this is just absolutely perfect because you will not find this in other databases at all. Well, okay, maybe some databases, but when I say at all, I mean you are significantly expanding your TAM to people that usually you would not be able to find. So this is the initial kind of setup right now. And as you can see, the other main thing you'll notice is this personnel information is done in a JSON format. So if I just come over here, I think if I go into a JSON formatter, let's bring this up. So this is gonna look. I just want to give you guys, or like let you guys wrap your head around the structure of everything. You don't have to completely understand it. That is what Clay is for, right? But you must understand that, like, with the way that it's output, you have this thing called, it's a list here. So it's under personnel information, and you then have a list of people, and you can loop through this list now. And looping basically means you can go access each one of these people one at a time and perform an action with them or move them to a new table, which is exactly what we plan on doing now. So I think that is the wrong page. Okay, so we do this. Hypothetically, we run this for 200 companies, which we're not going to do just yet. But we're going to create a brand new table, blank table. Find people at find. I have something is caught in my throat right now. I did eat like half an hour ago. We will see how that goes. It was a delicious pre-prepped burger that I am still salivating over. But enough about food. Right. We're here now. Okay. There's going to be 2 ways of getting the people from like companies like this. So if we do send data, I used to use write data to table. There's 2 of them in this, but we're going to use send table data for now. And what we're going to do is we're just going to select all of them. We're just going to do this. We're going to find people at companies, and then we're just going to run this if slash this one here, and holy shit, where's it gone? Oh no, that's the wrong one. Here we go. Personnel information, and then if the first one exists. All this says is if you have found someone at all inside of the list, then this is perfect. This will work. And what we're going to do is we're going to run for the first 10, and you'll see it won't run for this last one here because we didn't. Whoa, I just hit my microphone. It won't work for that one. So as you can see, it's just like this. And I think I fucked up. I think it only sent one set of data. 15. Oh, it only sent one set of data. Here, let me delete this. So again, we're doing this in live time, so stuff will perform poorly. Now, let's see here. So what happened was I forgot to loop through the data that I provided them. So send, you want to do send row for each item in a list, and we do this, and then we go like leadership team. And then you want to put this entire list in, and then it'll just loop through this. Now, if we run the same thing, the output will be just slightly different. I might have to run it. No, I won't. So what you'll see is you'll see a number. Yeah, so sent 11 rows. So that means we found 11 people at that company. Sent 1 row, sent 7 rows, sent 3 rows, sent 1 row. So we have automatically, out of 10 scrapes, we have pulled a list of, that's 23. What I'm going to do, I don't know if the data is loaded. I think the variables are slightly different. I think I'm correct. Let's have a look here. And we're just going to reload, and then it'll bring up the table. If the data is imported in, Clay, after they raised funding, it went completely bananas. Everything was lagging. Good on them because they raised a ton of funding, but it did hurt some of the performance of their platform. And I think they've recovered quite well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of this data because it's all completely irrelevant and we don't need it right now. And then what we're going to do is, so that'll delete all of them as you can see, and we just have no rows. And then what we're going to do is we're going to output only the data that is important to us, which is the master domain. And honestly, that's about it. There's all this other stuff that we just don't care about. We just don't care about. And then we, of course, want to get the name and the position of the person. And you can use this in whatever procedures or processes you're going to be using. But if you do slash here, you want to pull this value right here, which is, it has all of these names and positions. You do this value and split by this symbol. So it's the vertical line down, and get the first item. And what this is going to do is it's going to pull, and as you can see, the output will be the name of the person. Cool. And we're going to do this again for the second half of it and get the position. Full name. And what we're going to do is we're going to just dupe this. And then we're just going to rename this position. And we're just going to change this number here to 1, not 10. That's the wrong one. Nope, that's also the wrong thing. And as you can see, what this will do is it will change to the position, there you go, of the person that we are looking to target. If you are doing this, right, and you want to try and find more additional, maybe better information, you can definitely go and try and find their LinkedIn from this information. It would be very easy. It's like Business Insider, full name, this is their position. Please find XYZ LinkedIn. It's not rocket science. It's clay science. And then from here, what we're going to be doing, okay, actually, where do we go from here? Yes. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this master domain and we're going to put it through an email or a domain formatting process. Domain formatter. I think it's domain formatter. There's a name for it. Oh my God. Don't tell me. URL. It's one I use quite often. Extract URL. Find the given for a domain. Check if URL is valid. Ooh. Format? Okay, so now we're going to be going through some other. Where are we looking, man? Normalize the domain. Wonderful. I know it. I knew it was here somewhere because I've used it so many times. I just can be kind of dumb sometimes when it comes to this. Let me see. So master domain. And then what we're going to do, we're going to put the master domain in, and we want it to be completely bare with no information, no other information. I just wanted to output this. The idea behind this is when we create the formula that has to be copy and pasted into this, it'll look something like this, and it'll be very, very easy to put into the process, right? And then let's look into here. Okay. So there are, to make everything a success, right? There's two more parts of the process, or kind of like three, or maybe like three. The first one is you need to get the first name, last name in a separated output, which is like fine, like we can do that. The second thing we have to do is we have to, holy moly, my brain is fried right now. We have to get the first and last name. We have to put the formula in, and then we have to build out the lead magic section of portion of the setup, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna tackle this one at a time. So we're gonna use AI. Wait, actually, yeah, actually. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use AI, and what we are going to do is use AI and configure, and then here, and then for O-mini. So everything that we build, or everything I build inside Clay, is built for scale, and it's built to save cost when you're running 200, 500, like tons, and like I'm talking thousands and thousands of leads. The idea is to cost at scale, because as soon as you start, like you'll notice incremental increases in cost as you start, well, fucking with the system, adding random stuff, not cutting costs on certain corners. And that is why we ran the verification data to see which is actually the most accurate and the best data to have. That's why we're doing this process now. And the reason I bring this up is what I'm going to do is I'm just going to voice prompt this. Ooh, I think I bring up the wrong thing. Whoopsies. Alt X. I'm going to provide you with a person's full name. What I want you to do is output or extract the first name and last name only in a formatted manner. I only want two words only, and they need to be separated. So a first name, last name output. I don't need any middle names or any like one letter or punctuation inside of it. I just need the first and last name. Well, so I'm gonna turn it off. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna pull the first and last name. For some reason, they're not giving me. Oh no, they're pulling the set formula, which is fine, and this XYZ. Okay. I would not recommend using Nano. That shit, it can get extremely expensive. So don't. Or sorry, not Nano. Nano is cheap. Wait. First name. So they have fucked it up. We're just gonna add output. Shit. Last name. Ooh, okay. Output. First name. So sometimes you have to do some tweaking here and there. It can be a pain, but to make something work, it's a small price to pay. Okay. What we're going to do is we're just going to copy and paste this and just plug this in here. And let's hope I am not too silent. Sure, X, Anna, Garcia, John Smith. Okay. And we just let AI discern this. One of the main things that we're going to have to do is split slash first, right, slash full name by space. And I'll explain to you guys why I'm doing this now. You're just going to watch me kind of work away. So split full name by a space, and then if there is more than 2 items, run this. So again, I mentioned this already, but a lot of what we do is optimized for scale. And the whole thought behind this is if the name is already separated in such a manner that first and last name has already been pretty much extracted, then we don't have to do anything, right? So if I come over here, so output is correct. And if I just run this, so if I run 23 rows of this, what you're going to notice is this is only going to pull the first and last name from any of the ones that, as you can see, are longer than, like if you space them out, have more than 2 words in them, or if they have kind of punctuation, anything like that. So if I go first name, last name, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to write a formula and split slash first, no, slash full name by space and get first item. Because if you can do it with a formula, do it with a formula, please. It doesn't make sense to not do this with a formula if you have the option to, because it's cheaper. And again, at scale, I'm going to keep talking about scale here just to get like to help you guys understand that when you're doing cold email, everything is a scale issue. If you can send a ton of emails, it really does not matter. If you can find more information than your competitors, if you can build a better table than everybody else, then it doesn't matter. And what we're then going to do is we're going to create some master columns as we were discussing before. So I come over here. If we go master first name, and what we're going to do is we're going to pull from this first name section first, and then we're going to pull from this first name section next. And what this will allow us to do is exactly as you have seen, we're going to get a master first name and master last name column. And this is a good part. It's a wonderful, wonderful part of the process that, thank God, will not, won't take long because I've done this so many times. I really, I've templated out the entire process, but I'm just walking you guys through it so you can, uh, wait, so you guys can do it too. What is the format? Forgot. For some reason, that is last name too. Okay, save. Very, very cool. Okay, so now we have this set up here. And next on the, let me just finish this. So next on the agenda is going to be us going through and trying to generate the emails that we're going to be, I guess, pushing through this entire process. So let's come through here. So we're going to do a formula and formula. And this is going to be one of those ones where it's going to be a bit of a difficult run through. Wait, let me see. Okay. Very important part of the process. So I'm just going to copy and paste from this one and just drop it in here. Okay. Right, so what I'm going to do, so this is definitely more than the initial 4 that I was showing you guys before. So I'm going to use AI to just shorten this down. I want you to take this formula, keep the same formatting, but I only want the first 4 permutations and you can remove the rest. Right. When I'm typing, my grammar gets a whole lot of it goes could be better. And again, we have the data, so we only really need the initial 4. Right. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do slash master first name slash normalize URL. And then what I'm going to do is I think the AI, I've done this before, the AI should be smart enough to understand this. If I just go generate formula, it should know what to do. And should is a strong word in this sentence. And if it doesn't, I will jump in and fix it. Okay, should was too strong of should was too strong of a word in this sentence. It's not smart enough. Okay, so you then have to replicate this by yourself. I would say don't. Let me just do this while we're looking at this. So you don't need to go in and start changing anything crazy. Like just copy and paste this in here into, well, this is the formula I'm using. And obviously it's been working. So master first name, master last name, and then initial last name here. Okay, for some reason, Clay is like having a complete freak out in the background right now. And here we are. Osavenia. Don't copyright me, please. Oh, there we go. It already told me. Email permutations. And then something I noticed here is this should be labeled master domain. Again, it's just naming conventions. I don't think I have OCD. It really doesn't matter if I do, but I don't know. But it just, life is easier when it's permutated or named correctly. And then so email, extract, email. Nope. Wait, extract values from data. Oh, extract URLs and emails from text. So this is the next set in the process that we're going to be doing. And what we do is we're going to do email permutations. And this will only pull the email permutations from this. And what we're going to do is we're just going to set it up. So email permutations, if it exists, and then we don't need any sort of output. And we're slowly building onto this, the entire kind of table process now as we're going through. And as you can see here, URLs, we have Jeff at Business Insider, we have Jeff.rab, we have Jeff Rab, and we have jrab at businessinsiders.com. So with this in mind, we can now proceed to the next validation step of the entire process. This is going to be, this is going to determine what sort of emails, I guess, we're going to be getting and how many we're going to be getting. And I'm going to use Lead Magic. You guys can use whatever sort of validation you want. The premise stands the exact same. I'm just using Lead Magic because, well, it's faster. A Million Verifier has been another one I've been using as well. So let's just get this done. I spelled Lead Magic wrong. That goes to show my absolute experience with using this software. Woo. Okay, so validate email. So we are going to go through this entire process and we're going to start validating these emails. So person's email, we're going to scroll down and we're not going to scroll down. We're going to come here and we're going to pull this and we're going to get the value. And we're only going to run this if the extract URLs, if this exists. There are some rare cases where this doesn't exist. You can ignore that. So we're going to run the first 23 rows now. And what this is going to do is we are now going to run through, and as you can see, we're going to start validating people's emails. And this is not a good look. It's not a good look that the first one we only found one email. And this is why we have the data to back it up and everything that operates also at scale. So I have no doubt that as we start going through the process and adding more people to this initial list, then it's going to start, I guess, stacking up. So what we're going to do now is some of these should be catch-all. So if they're invalid, that's a good sign. If they're not invalid, that's less of a good sign. Because if they're catch-all, that means the entire domain is catch-all. And you don't really want to validate this. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. It's going to pull this exact same setup again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to change this. All you have to do is change this simple one here. Come drop down and then add the second value. And then what you need to do is you need to change it so if / extract URL, this here exists, and / validate email status isn't equal to valid and exists and slash validate email substatus isn't equal to catch all, or doesn't contain catch. Okay. So long story short, the way this process is working is if you have the value, if it exists, if the status isn't equal to valid, and if it also exists, and then if the substatus doesn't contain catch-all, what this is giving you is, okay, so like you see these are catch-all. If a company is catch-all, well, we shouldn't we shouldn't be emailing them anyways. So what we're going to do is we're going to run this, and let's see what is run then. So all of these are catch-all emails. That is instantaneously, now you know that. This didn't run because we found the email already. Is a valid email that we have no need, like we don't need to find the next email because we've already found the first one. And then we are then running the next set of the process. And obviously we are now hit with a second batch of invalids. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this again. And this is a whole lot easier. And we're going to go through and we're going to we're just going to repeat the same thing because this is all you need to do for now. And here, let me see, where am I changing this? Validate email. So I'm just going to make some adjustments. Right, validate email. Oh, that's not called 1, that's called 2. Okay. And then here, okay, so that doesn't include catch-all. And then if this one here, so 1, this should be 2. Okay. So now we are slowly starting to move through the process, and you'll see we now have a second, or the second / third batch. Okay. And it's also hit with another set of, let's see, invalids. And then if we run the validate email 3, let's come over here and come over here. So if we go into here and we go into not this one, extract here, value, this should be 3, this should be 3, and then that is actually fine. Okay. Value isn't equal to valid. Okay, completely understandable. Cool. And as we're working through this, we will add some more data into the data set. So this was just the first 10 rows. As of now, let's just run up to row 80. Oh, my battery is running low on the thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this, and you will see back from me when this has finished up running, and we'll have a look at some of the data and we'll finish up the table. Hello everybody, I am back. I did have a bit of a snack, and I also ran the rest of the table, so we have more data to work with. So now that we're back in and I am fully satiated from my hunger, we can get right into it. So when we were running the initial, like this is the same table that we were going through, and we only had like 23-ish rows of data. But as I was going through, I said to myself, fuck it, let's just run the whole thing, see what happens, see what sort of data we're actually able to get. So we have run all 200 rows, and from all 200 rows, we were able to get 1,200 data points, or 1,191 if you want to be oddly specific. And from there, you'll notice that some of them that we have been running, I come over here and I scroll down, we have been getting, you see how we have some valids here, some valids here, some valids here. We have 2, interestingly enough. That actually is cause for fixation. Why is this? Okay. This is good because as we are going through, it requires some fixes and some tweaks on our end. For some reason, these are running, even though there's no need for them to run. And as you can see, a lot of people, a lot of companies, they like to use the same email formation for all of their employees. They don't like to change it. So so this is pivot design. And you can see all of the like liam@mtos.com, all of them are the exact same. So this is where we're getting a lot of our data points from. And as you can see, you get big batches of none because some of these companies have a lot of people in them and they don't use any of these formations. And then of course, then we come here and we start getting a litter of emails that are valid. So it's a good way of like seeing what companies are doing. So if you are able to get the formation of one person in a company, you can pretty much get the formation of everybody in the company without fail. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to adjust this slightly and say we're going to do this in live time because of course we're just going to do this here and slash so this is the third one. So the second one, status, has to exist as well. What this will do is if it doesn't exist, which means if it doesn't run for any particular reason, there is no reason for, look, so it will disappear here. There you go. And now we have another issue. Why is this running? Okay, so extract URLs and emails from text. We have the first value if that exists. So email value 1. This shouldn't be email value 1. This should be email value 2. Let's try this now. I don't think that's going to make much of a difference. Let's see. Cool. Okay, wait. Let's try this again. So as like this is going to be us just kind of fixing stuff in real time. So this is the second value. And if validate email status exists, status. Ooh, okay, so that's probably what it is too. I thought I fixed this before. Let's try this though. Output is correct. Let's give this a bit of a whacker and see if this runs. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. So now if we go to here, so this was changed to 3. Oh, if validate email. So the issue was actually here. And then, sure, this one as well. The catch shouldn't really be an issue here, but look, we'll see how it goes. But as you can see, we now remove a lot of the validation process and we will only hone in on the ones that are running. And as you can see, some of them are invalid inputs. The reason being is the email that we've pulled for them, well, the name wise, look at it, it's k.w. This isn't a good email to be using or a good name. And in situations like this, there actually isn't a lot we can do because this is the name that the AI has scraped from the site. And when you're doing stuff at scale, at a scale like this, it of course, there are some, what's the word, casualties, or there's some errors in a sense. So what is next in the process is going to be us pulling only the emails that are valid. And also, since I'm using Lead Magic, I'll show you how I'm going to get the MX records as well. So we're going to run a formula and we're going to do if slash validate email status is equal to valid output slash email else check if slash status is equal to valid output slash email. And you would basically do this for all of them, but what I'm actually going to do is just kind of skip this process here, just copy and paste this. So if you run this and then you actually paste this in here, you can change the numbers because the numbers are in a set formula manner. 3 and 3, here's another one. Okay, 4 and 4. Cool. What this is going to do is it will only pull the valid emails from the entire process. And again, this is customizable to, so it's master email. This is customizable to whatever formatting or whatever URL email verifier you're using. The format's pretty much the same. If this is valid, output it, else check next sentence, see if this is valid. If yes, output, then next setup. Right? And as you can see, we're coming through here, and these are all valid emails. And this is absolutely what you're looking for. So what I'm going to do is out of 1191, I'm just going to filter for master email only, and we're going to do is not empty. So using the permutation process, we found 519 rows of data of valid emails that we can actually contact. That is, and I bear with me here because what percent is actually we're just going to do 1191 divided by 519 multiplied by 100. That's not how you do maths. Is that the wrong way around? So we found we had a 43.5% hit rate on everything. And to be honest, this is pretty standard in terms of email validation, in terms of finding data from email validators. When you use a find email setup, most of the data they give you back is pretty incompetent. Like it's pretty bad. So this is a setup I would absolutely recommend. And as we come through here, we're not done though, because I'm just going to come through this, and there's another setup we have here. So if I go duplicate, and then we come into MX provider. So I'm just going to change this so we get the MX provider as well. Reason being is MX provider. It is just good to find. So if this is valid, output, whoops, don't do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually just going to pull the first one. Okay, MX provider, and we just need to copy and paste this. So valid email to move this over, valid email, move this over, and then valid here. And now what you're going to get is you're going to get an MX setup. Give this just 2 seconds. And if this doesn't output an MX provider, oh, we got an MX provider, guys. Sometimes some of this stuff bugs, but we're doing pretty well right now. And you'll see the data is going to match up in terms of emails found. Like, look at this. Look at the amount of these is the first one. Look at this. And then there's the second one as well. But again, we have all the data to back everything up. And then what we have, so we're going to name this master MX provider. And one of the final bits, I guess, in terms of this entire process. So if we come over to this VT marketing table here, we've done a lot of what was necessary of what we needed to do in this entire process. We found the email, we got the workspace, we have a master contact. I won't go into using how to use Clayagent inside of the setup. You guys will probably already know that. I'll probably also have other videos on this channel going through how I prompt Clayagent, how I set up Clayagent in an end-to-end process, and how everything kind of works. If I come over here, I wanted to go through the second process. So we of course have this like set up here, and this is 519 rows of data. And if I come over here, it's like, okay, so we have just scraped their site to look for all the necessary data, but a way of finding lots of this data that isn't inside the using AI is the find people at these companies. This is a completely free setup. I haven't seen people use it that much with the process that I'm talking about here, because the main issue is they're not able to source the emails because it's too expensive. But with this process, a lot of this is very cheap, right? So if I go into master domain, and it will come in, it will look at all of these, and it'll say you're previewing 50 people. But how many people are you actually going to find with this? So let's import to a new table. And let's see if this, okay. Let's see. So 50, continue for free. Oh, having a bit of a lag spike right now because it's importing. So, so as you can see, we have now found 5,000 people, additional 5,000 people. And this isn't all like this is great and all, but this isn't the main um like sure, some of this data is good, but not all of this. Wow, we just moved it to 10,000 people. Holy shit. And this is why we do this. And this is how you expand the TAM exponentially without even thinking. Like genuinely, this is how you do it without even remotely thinking about how to do any of this stuff. So what you look to do is you pull this data and you're like, it's gone to 12,000 now, 12 and a half. Even it's 14. There must be someone in here that okay, so I should have limited it to C-suite executives. That was my mistake. But what I'm going to do is when you get a database like this, you can cross-check this with the other database and see how many of them. And this will be slightly inaccurate just due to the fact that, well, it's going to be slightly inaccurate. It's just the truth of the matter, because we're only going to be able to cross-check the names. But if we do a check multiple rows, look up multiple rows in other table, and using a lookup multiple rows in other table section, you can actually identify the amount of people you're finding in the other table that are or aren't in this database. And this database is based off LinkedIn. So it is nearly as accurate as you are ever going to get it. Like this, like most of the databases you ever get will be from LinkedIn. Then the question is how accurate can you find this database? Like how accurate is it and how up to date? So Clay, I would say, is one of the better, more up to date ones. And then, so if we come over here, and if we go find people and companies, and we go full name, and then we check equals to, and then we check our full name, and then we just run it. And what this is going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to check every single row. It's going to be a super, super insane process of going through, filtering, checking if this person is working at this company and seeing what the status looks like, etc. And now we're going to have a general guesstimate on how many of these people are, I guess, in the other table. And I would wait for this and show you and give you everything, but this video has has dragged on a slightly long amount of time, and you'll expand the time significantly. What I'm going to do is while we're waiting for this, if this finishes in time, hopefully, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And actually, now that I think about it, I should have done it the other way around, but whatever. Now that we're on this, what I'm going to show you is the template version. So you should templatize this, and then you can map it over to the other one very simply. So you just save as a template, so you don't have to build this out every single time. So I'm just going to test YT, YT, okay, and then make sure everything is up to par. Come over here, and then when you come over here, you quite literally just come here, go add enrichment, and you go into templates, and you go into workspace. And then if I scroll down, and first name, last name, sure, okay. And what I'm going to do, is there a way, oh my God, I don't want to run this. I don't want to run all of them because it is 18,000 and it's a pretty hefty amount of finding more people. But what this will do is this will 100% find some of the people anyways, and we're just going to run 10 of them. And what you'll see happen is the entire template is then imported in, and you as a human don't have to do anything because templates are one of the greatest things known to man, and it's amazing. And you should be doing this every single time without fail. So you'll see the process going: extract URLs and emails, validate email, validate, validate, validate. And then of course, so the hit rate wasn't as good on this one specifically, but as you can go through, the stats will line up to the first name will be the most used, and then of course second, third, and fourth. So with that, I don't think there's anything left for me to run through. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Additionally, if you have any clay tables or build outs that you'd like to see, I'm going to do a ton of interesting builds, just kind of going through our entire processes internally. And yeah, look, if there's anything else, drop a comment, drop a like. But if there's nothing else, goodbye and have a great day.